I'm Michelle, and these are my reading statistics from 2015. I always love watching these types of videos where people go through their statistics of how they read in 2015. It really gives you a good idea of what they kind of like to read and what they want to do for the next year. So I thought I would do my own version. I'm going to try to insert images of the graphs I've made on my Excel spreadsheet because I am a nerd like that. So starting off, in 2015 I read 52 books. And I'm going to be doing some comparisons with 2014 because that was the first year I started tracking my reading. I only read 26 books in 2014, so I doubled my reading last year, which is awesome. So first, let's look at gender. In 2015, I read 71% female and one book by transgender. I'm not sure if I should be counting transgender as a separate category for this one because she does identify as female, but I just thought it would be a little more interesting. In 2014 I read 69% female, so didn't really change very much there. I'm okay with reading that much female. I am female myself and I enjoy supporting female authors, so I don't mind that it's higher than the male. If one was 100% and one was like 90%, then maybe I would want to change something there, but I'm okay with that how it is. Next is nationality of the author. As you can see, the majority of the authors that I read this year were American, at 69%, which I think is too high. I am Canadian myself, so that's not even supporting my own country's economy or literature, so I would like, if anyone is way more than the other, I'd like it to be at least equal with Canada. My main goal for 2016 is just to have a broader number of nationalities represented and have that American amount be less than 50%. The second highest nationality represented here is British at 10%, and Canada is 8%, which I'm okay with that, it's good. And I have a total of 10 different countries or nationalities represented here. I'd like them to be much higher, to be able to read more diversely. But compared to 2014, I did much better. I was at 81% American, and only 4 of the books I read were Canadian. And only 3 different nationalities were represented, so I'm doing much better there, but I still like to improve that a bit more next year. As for genre, I don't really like how I categorized my genres in the past years, so I'm going to try and find a way to change that and make it a little bit more easy to understand, but the majority of the books I read were adult fiction, which doesn't include adult fantasy because I made that separate. I read 13% memoir and 12% YA fantasy. As a whole, I read 77% fiction and 23% nonfiction. I would like to make that a little bit more even. I would like to read more nonfiction this year, although none of the goals I wrote about were nonfiction. So in 2016, I'd like to read more nonfiction and more classics, and have classics as a separate category on here. The one thing I am happy about that I improved last year is I read less YA fiction. I was reading YA fiction in 2014, I think because that was what was popular, but I don't really enjoy YA fiction that much. I like to read the odd book here and there, but not that much really. I'd rather read adult fiction or fantasy, so I'm glad I made that a lot less. And finally, I have this graph that shows how many books I read each month of the year, which I think is really interesting. As you can see, in December I read 8 books, which was the most, and in July and March I only read 2 books each month. I'm not exactly sure why. I think I went on a couple trips those months, but I went on a trip in December too. It depends on the kind of trip, I guess. I'd like to make that obviously like a minimum of 4 a month, every month, if I could. But generally, I don't really know how to improve of that. It kind of depends on how busy I am during that month, but I think it's interesting to look at. But compared to 2014, there was 3 months where I didn't read anything at all, which is horrible. And the highest I ever read was 4 books in 1 month, which is about, so that really switched things around in 2015, which I'm really happy about. Those are my stats for 2015. I hope you enjoyed watching. Let me know if you have any goals on stats you want to improve on, or if there's anything you think I'm missing that I should be tracking this coming year. Thanks for watching. See you later.